Hello, everybody. Welcome. Christmas time, Josh.
Christmas time, mistletoe and wine.
Christmas time. Stephen Jones is a swine. Disagreeable bollocks all of the time. With shit Fraser turning and reactionary shite. He's like Rubbies Rugby Savage from the Aldi Centre aisle.
Lovely.
How's
Lovely
about that then
stuff.
for an opening?
We haven't had a song in a while, but honestly, you made up for it.
Well, so hello,
Yes.
everybody. Welcome to the Blood and Mud podcast.
I mean, people talk about that Boris Johnson song getting a Christmas #1, but, I think we've just got a new challenger has entered the arena. I think you can at least beat that fucking sausage rolls shit.
I could write some more verses, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to the Blood and Mud. The podcast has had the day off work today, and is all the better for it, as you can tell.
You've had the time to write that song. More of this.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to maintain a facade that I was freestyling that, but obviously it was quite clear by the end that I wasn't. So.
I mean, yeah, if you could come up with that sort of fucking genius on the fly, this podcast would be a lot more successful.
And I'd be in a completely different job from
absolutely.
So then, you've been in work though today, I guess.
I have been in work today. Yeah.
When are you until the bitter end?
No, I get Christmas. I'm off Christmas Eve, and then I don't go back until the 4th of January, so I can live with that. And I've not done a lot today. I'll level you. Well, you'll see in a minute what I mainly done with my afternoon. But
okay. Well, that's something to look forward to. A bit of a tease there. So, Hello everybody. I'm Lee. Welcome to the pod.
I'm Josh. Obviously, I'm still Josh. Still always Josh. So one day I'm not going to be Josh, and then I'll surprise you all.
My son is home. Speaking of Christmas, he's home from uni.
Back from uni,
slowly working his way through boxes of beer that were meant to be for Christmas, Even though, is it Christmas now?
I think we're in the festive period. We're officially in the festive period.
I think so.
The week before, week after, I think that's technically Christmas, isn't it?
And he's got his driving test again on Wednesday. So I've been taking him out driving today because he had to wait so long to get another test done after his failure in the summer that I've had to do a bit of that today. So,
God.
Yeah. So my power steering's taking a hammering while he's done 57 parallel parks,
Hopefully he's balancing the consumption of beer with driving lessons to a sensible degree, though, obviously.
Kinda, but, we'll see what happens. So, are you ready for Christmas, Josh?
Yes, I'm ready to step into Christmas. Yeah.
Have you got your shopping in and all that stuff?
I'll tell you what. Yeah, I mean, I've got a very fraught with there's a lot riding on my Asda order on the 23rd. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, you don't want to order it too early because the stuff will go off. But
we stopped using Asda. It was a disgrace.
Honestly, it's a fucking shambles. If I hadn't paid for a fucking year-long delivery pass for some stupid fucking reason, I would have binned off Asda and gone to a more bougie supermarket now. Because honestly, on any given week, I would not get about 20% of my order. And the substitutions are never acceptable.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
And the number of times
I've ordered sparkling water. Why do you think still water is an acceptable replacement? What is wrong with people?
And I guess it is an acceptable replacement, but the number of times that they tried to palm me off with fucking Warburton's bagels instead of the good
New
York deli bagels, which actually taste like bagels, whereas the Warburton's bagels just taste like bread rolls with holes in the middle.
They are pre-sliced though, the Warburton's ones.
They are. I do like that. Is good, but they just don't taste like bagels. Honestly, it's just stop trying to make me fucking eat them. Stop trying to make it happen, Warburton's. Just go back to making shit basic bread.
Yeah. So we've done ours that gave up because, I mean, the drivers are always very nice. They're always very apologetic for the fact they've been given literally tubs of shit to give to you, almost. You know what I mean?
I literally gave back like half of the order to the Sunday one that we had this week. And it was just like, we realised we didn't have a gravy boat, right, for hosting Christmas this year. And we were like, oh, we haven't got a gravy boat because we don't need a boat for gravy most of the time because
well, we know where you stand on Sunday roast, so you won't be making them, will you?
Exactly, yeah.
Circumstances.
But so we're like, oh, we need a gravy boat. Oh, this one £3 in Asda, and they sent a milk jug as a substitute.
That's amazing.
Technically, I suppose yes.
Yeah, I
it
suppose
could be
it's
used,
got a spout on it.
Yeah, anything with a spout is apparently an acceptable substitute. No, just don't do it.
My wife's well into all this. I like Christmas. It's all very nice. My wife's well into all the cooking, so she's making cranberry sauce and all that. And it's like,
Oof.
I can't believe how much labour and thought goes into what is effectively a Sunday roast, but with sausages.
And to be fair, the sausages are the best bit.
It's true. The trimmings are lovely. But yeah, it's just like, well, just make a Sunday dinner, but then just cook some little sausages. We knocked a Sunday dinner together in about 2 hours this weekend.
Yeah, but I cracked this secret. Even though I've got the Asda order coming, I was in M&S on Sunday afternoon getting some bits. And I was like, oh. Those roast potatoes and those sausages aren't going to go out of date before the weekend.
Oh, I won't countenance other people's roast potatoes. I'll only ever make my own or have somebody make them. But I can make them now myself as well.
I've done the making my own and they're fine. But Marks and Spencer's beef dripping ones are not commensurately better than mine. This
is a controversial discussion, which I don't think we have time to go through at the minute. We might end up falling out.
I know there wasn't a lot of rugby this weekend, but we've only got so long on this podcast.
James Crone with a game changer here in the comments says you need a thermos style gravy boat. Stops gravy congealment issues.
Interesting. I
love the idea of having a flask on the table. My Auntie Kath and Uncle Brian, R.I.P. both of them. My Uncle Brian was the man famously doesn't worry about the change in petrol prices because he only puts £20 in. That was my Uncle Brian. They used to take a thermos of tea to bed because neither of them slept very well.
Lovely.
So they used to basically have tea out of the thermos at like 2:00 in the morning. Which is funny because they were in a bungalow and the kitchen was right next to the bedroom.
Right there.
It wasn't like they had to go downstairs or anything. So,
or even get get a teas made. I know that's a bit retro, but
another thing about my Uncle Brian was he never threw anything away and was a brilliant maker of things, like out of things. He made his own teas made with like this lever that came up, and he had a 60-watt bulb on it that would flash when it was ready. Yeah. And honestly, God, he showed it to me. He's really Lancashire bloke, and he said, "What's this now, Lee? What's this leak now? What's it flash now?" And he said, "I fucking pissed myself laughing," and he got a little bit upset. God bless him.
Oh, lovely stuff.
Yeah. So where were we up to then? Yeah. So anyway, Christmas is here.
Hello.
Everyone's ready. Hello. Yes. I saw a thing about house names on Twitter before we came on.
Yes.
About the strange British thing with house names. Does your house have a name, or have you lived in a house that is a name?
No, it doesn't. But weirdly, before that, I also saw that tweet. But before that tweet was tweeted, right, I went for a walk with my wife this afternoon.
How's the big light or lamp scene?
I mean, yeah, because of the cold sea, we're going too early for big light or lamp.
Right, so fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this would be prime, especially with the shortest day of the year tomorrow or whatever. This is prime fucking big light or lamp territory. You can go out at 5 o'clock and frankly, all bets are off. Curtains will still be open. You don't know.
It is, yeah. It's like a cataclysm of big light or lamp
season. It really is. But yeah, we were going for a walk at lunchtime today, and as we walked past the street, and we noticed that the house at the very end of our road, which is a 1980s new build estate in the most boring and modern thing, has a plaque on the front of their house saying Abbotsmere. And it's like you live in a 3-bedroom 1980s new build house. No Abbott has ever lived there or will ever live there. Maybe Russ Abbott if times are hard for him.
My last house, which was a semi-detached house in North Wales, had a name which I painted over and refused to use. Just use the number.
Yes.
And then this house I've got now also has a name which I refuse to use. And thankfully, when you can pick the address, you can pick either the name or the number.
Perfect.
So I've put a number on the front now to try and bring an end to all this nonsense. Because it's just a disgrace. However, the best naming thing, going back to this is true, right? Going back to my Uncle Brian and Auntie Kath, they got a static caravan in Blackpool, as is the wont of the Lancashire family,
of course.
And that was there, and they named that Brycath. and actually got a plaque made and everything. Called it
Lovely
Bryca.
stuff.
Even
That's
better
the
than
right
that, you've
stuff.
got to love a name that you've got to like this a compound of the people that live there.
Honestly, that's great.
So there
Ian
you go.
Wallace says, I drive number 41 past J.K. Rowling's house. It's called the White House.
Oh.
I mean, she's an incredibly creative woman, clearly, and that's the depth of her creative powers.
So, hello everyone. If you want to get in touch with us, I am at Blood and Mud on the Twitter or Lee at
You are indeed.
bloodandmud.com. You can also use the Patreon messaging service. So
You can if you want.
I tend to administer that bit. So it's
You
mostly
do.
me you're talking to. So thank you. I do get messages. I do reply to them as best I can. So thank you for those people who message. And what about you, Josh, in your fancy fucking 1990s retro Toulouse top, by the
Honestly,
way? Very nice.
This is the best thing I bought in 2021.
We are on the live stream. Sorry, I just want to say hello, everybody.
Yeah.
We've actually made it available to everybody. So we might see some new faces watching this. Well, you'll see our faces. We'll see some new people commenting perhaps. But we thought we'd let you have a look. With it being Christmas and that, you know.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm so pleased with this 1990s retro Toulouse jersey, what I've just bought. It's just, it's everything. I'll never need to buy another rugby shirt now because I've got the best rugby shirt. It's fine. Like, I don't think there's any topping this, the 1996 Heineken Cup final Toulouse shirt. It's a fucking classic.
It is. But other people get in touch with you. They want to agree with you.
Josh Gardner or at Rucked_mag, if you're that way inclined.
So we are on Apple. We're on the Sports Social Podcast Network. We can find us on that now. We've transferred fully onto that one. We're also on patreon.com/Blood and Mud, where you can come there and get extra episodes. You get this live stream every week, not just at special Christmas times. You get an extra extra dollop of the episode every week, usually about an extra 45 minutes to an hour. That's how much we fucking bang on in the break. Some people might say, well, good, I'd rather not have that, thanks. But if you want that, then you can come along.
Wouldn't hold it against you. Absolutely wouldn't hold it against you.
£2 a month or 20 quid for the whole year, just over 20 quid. It's like £20.13 for the whole year, or £5 a month and 50 quid for the whole year if you want to come into the VIP area behind the velvet rope, play with a giant kaplunk and all that kind of stuff. We've had one VIP this week, Mr. Adam Fletcher. Thank you very much, Adam. We actually did it before that. He's reminded me. So apologies, Adam. It's taken you to remind me. But he wants me to do his son instead of him, which is becoming quite a thing now, isn't it?
It's a thing. I quite like that, though. Into it.
We're becoming like a sort of cameo, aren't we? People are like buying things for other people. So he's doing it for his son, Connor Fletcher. So we've got here, Connor Fletcher is a promising centre at Old Hokey Cokians RFC. Somehow he's a crash ball specialist who very much runs his weight. The trouble is his weight is 11 stone wet through. Despite this, everyone agrees he's a far better player than his dad ever was. So there you go. So that's Connor and Adam, both of you. Thank you very much for that.
Lovely stuff.
We begin, as we always begin, Josh, with a player spotted now, I guess, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Absolutely, we do.
Dan Ireland is on the direct messages, and it's a bit of a retro one again. He says, player spotted, and this is going back to around October the 5th, 1997. I love that. Around October the 5th, 1997. Yeah. Picture the scene, says Dan. A busy departure lounge at Bristol Airport to the 13-year-old about to embark on his first ever flight, family holiday to Lanzarote, in case you're wondering. Nice. My granddad had been stitched up with a timeshare on a previous trip. I was already quite excited about being somewhere that seemed so posh. You don't hear about timeshares anymore, do they? There's always people trying to flog them on holiday. I remember my mum always having to like they were somehow like being attacked by a werewolf or something. It's timeshare, run quick! Don't speak to them. It's timeshare sort of thing.
Because they would offer, like, I remembered, like, when I was quite a small kid, there was like some sort of thing when we went to like Florida. There was somebody who was like offering you free Disney tickets, and all you had to do was attend this seminar. And it's like, no, not doing that. My dad was quite into it. My mother was just like, no, we're definitely not doing that. They're trying to sell us some sort of timeshare, and of course they were.
Somebody I know, their dad had timeshares in Tenerife, and he's passed away now, but he passed them on or sold some and passed them on. So like her and her sister have a couple of weeks each. in this block of flats in Tenerife, which is they still use it. Good for them, but it's a strange old thing.
I wonder if the prevailing Airbnb model of stuff has rendered the timeshare somewhat in because people like now some rich cunt's just going to buy the entire thing and then he'll buy the entire flat or whatever and will sell it, will Airbnb it when he's not there to pay for it. Has that killed the timeshare? I don't know.
Who knows? But that's another episode that we could go into, isn't it?
Get in touch. Listen, New Zealand says, I've got a timeshare in Fiji, total bargain. Just picked up another week per year for $500. I'm level with you. A timeshare in Fiji sounds a hell of a lot better than any timeshare I've ever heard.
Better than a timeshare in Malgrat, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Just a bit. Anyway.
Yeah, so meanwhile, back at Bristol Airport Departure Lounge in 1997, he says, Dan says, already developing into the rugby nose I since became. I had not missed a game of the Summers Lions Tour, so SA in 97, obviously the famous one, and I was wearing my much-loved Lions shirt, bought from Bob Lovell out the back of Rugby World. Paper round savings well spent, yes,
Lovely.
Indeed. He says, on my way to the bathroom, I spotted Mike Catt. About to be starstruck, I noticed he had full bath tracksuit on. Then, pow, 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 Martin Haag, Nigel Redman, Mark Regan, John Callard, the whole squad was in Bristol Airport, October the 5th, 1997, or thereabouts, about that time.
Wow.
Excitedly, he says, I went about collecting all their signatures, I hope off the back of a Chinese lid out of the bin.
Not any other way.
He said, thinking to myself, these were the first sports stars I'd met since Super Schools brought Chris Akabusi to my primary school.
Oh, that's another great player that's spotted.
That's a quiet one to drop in, isn't it? I tell you. Highlights included me nervously mumbling, I thought you scored in the third test, to Ronnie Regan. I'm not sure he did. Didn't know what I was on about. And being struck with how stacked Phil de Granville was. His forearms are as thick as anything I've ever seen. How do they compare to Rory Cocotte's forearms? That's the measure of every person.
It is.
I believe they were heading out to Brive, he concludes. Dan concludes, for the Heineken Cup pool match, which they then lost 29-12. I was disappointed that Guscott wasn't there. It was a great start to my holiday, though.
I mean, fair play. Yeah.
Rugby players in an airport. Probably we've had a few of them. We've had people spotted on planes. I can't remember what airport it was, but I saw Willie John McBride reading a newspaper in an airport once.
Yeah. I once shared a low-budget long-haul flight with Michael Owen, the former Wales number 8, and his family.
Former England number 9.
No.
Actually, number 10, because Alan Shearer always played number 9. But yeah,
it's true. The bespectacled much better than everybody gave him credit for. Wales number 8, Michael Owen.
Speaking of cameo type things, there's another one called Memo.
Yeah.
Michael Owen's on that, £175. To have that fucking midget boredom going out here.
Has something happened to Michael Owen's eyebrows?
What's happened to his entire face?
Yeah, what's happened
to
Michael
very
Owen's
strange.
Face? Something's happened to his face, and it no longer looks like how it used to look, and it's not getting old. Like,
guess who else is on there? On Memo.
Yeah.
But might not be on there now and might be refusing requests. £500, mind, Chris Noth.
Really? Well.
And after last week, I think they might not be using him anymore.
I think that might have gone south quite quickly. Hello.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, Nigel Owen's on that one. He's on all of them, I think. They're like really shit ones, like 90s footballers, like Leroy Leiter, who played for Reading's on there for a tenner. So, I mean, that's really niche, isn't it?
I pay a tenner for Leroy Leiter just to make him feel better, you know?
Well, yeah, so the very bizarre thing. So, yeah.
Tell you what's good about that Memo thing is that it's got 2 M's in the middle of it, and so it's almost totally ungoogleable unless you know.
No.
Which
pushing it very hard on Facebook, I've noticed. Lots of Facebook ads to do with it.
Oh, I'm clicking on Memo's rugby thing to see if they've got. Oh, Ben Foden's on there with a very.
Who's the most expensive rugby one?
Oh,
actually, read out the ones you can see, and I'll try and guess who the most expensive one is.
Okay. We've got Nigel Owens. who's got a sale on. Ben Foden, Martin Afire, Mike Phillips, Craig Chalmers, Kieran Bracken, Scott Hastings, Gareth Chilcott, Jack Owlett, who I don't even know who he is,
No,
Phil Vickery, Keith Mason, Brian Redpath, Vilami Tuolani, Victor Ubogu,
I've forgotten
Andy
half of these now,
Powell,
so you have to stop.
Andy Powell, Jason Robinson, Chris Choppy Close, who played in the NRL, and Luke Reamer from
Right.
the
I guess
Brumbies.
if anything is justifiable, Jason Robertson
Yes.
should be the most expensive out of those.
He's actually not, but he is the second most expensive. Actually, Martin Afire's the most expensive at £80 a message.
I think the thing is, some people just set their own price, and you think, I
I
reckon
think they do.
they probably give them an idea of what they should charge. You go, fuck off, I'm charging more than that. Do you know what I mean? The
Yeah,
five's most
not
expensive, okay. Jack
Mike
Owlett's got to be the cheapest because I don't know who he is.
Jack Owlett is 25 quid, which is the same price as Kieran Bracken, who, let's not forget, played for England.
And what was in a World Cup winning squad?
Yeah, Vilami Atalani, sorry, is 11 quid, which feels like, I don't even think that's worth, I wouldn't do
That's
it for
Leroy
11 quid.
Lita money, that.
It is. Andy Powell's 20 quid again. Andy, I don't know. Gareth Chilcott's 30 quid. Phil Vickery's 40. I'm surprised Vickery's that low, given that he's got, he's posing with his MasterChef winning trophy in his photo and everything. Scott Hastings is 40 quid. Nigel's currently got a sale on and guarantees delivery in time for Christmas. 45 quid. Yeah, I mean, it's Victor Abogu's 40. Brian Redpath's 30.
In all seriousness, Abogu's business was all top end hospitality, wasn't it? It must have dropped completely out of that.
I was gonna say,
Poor
maybe he's
bloke.
had a rough fucking year. Poor guy. Yeah, Ben Foden, 30 quid. Not worth it.
Is he still playing somewhere, Ben Foden? Is he in the MLS?
Wasn't he in the New York? Yeah, he
MLR
went to the Yeah, he was playing for New York, I think. I don't know if he still is. Let's find out very quickly, can't we?
So while you're doing that,
yeah,
thank you very much to Dan. And anybody else who's got a play spot, you can send it in to lee@bloodandmud.com or on the Patreon messaging service or on the DMs of mine, which are open. Have you got special like cyber super protection of your messaging now? You're a blue tick wanker on Twitter.
I assume so, yeah. I assume that anybody that says anything mean to me just instantly gets booted. So, bring it on.
I looked at flying. Speaking of Lizard NZ with the timeshare in Fiji, I looked at flying to Fiji. Did I mention this last week? I looked at flying to Fiji just to see what it'd be like.
I mean,
you have to go via LA from here, which I'm sure feels like the long way round.
That feels like a very long way around. But I think there is no short way around because it is basically on the opposite side of the world.
I thought it would have at least be Singapore and then across or something.
Yeah, maybe it's not. But yeah, where was it? I think it was during Super Rugby Aotearoa last year. They were having they had loads of Visit Samoa adverts on in at half time at the end. Tell you what, it didn't half make me want to go to Samoa. Just looks really nice. Just looks real fucking nice. Mad to think that people leave there to come play rugby in like Sale or Bristol.
Well, Denny Salamona is probably going back or somewhere near to it, isn't he? Not be confirmed. He's definitely
he's off somewhere. Let's face it.
Oh,
didn't he basically say in an interview
over the top, isn't it? You're thinking right to left.
Yeah, we probably are. Yeah.
Oh yeah, actually, when I flew to Denver, we went right up over Scotland and.
I quite like it when that happens. Yeah,
down Baffin Island and over Hudson Bay and that way. I got pictures of the Canadian tundra out the window. It was great.
Yeah, it's quite a fun way to go. That I like it. I've done the sort of going over the Arctic across Canada and then down the Pacific Northwest to LA. That's quite a fun route to go as well. Yeah.
Lizard NZ won't stop. He or she is trying to flog me a timeshare in Fiji now in the comments. It's time to move on.
This is how they get you, these high pressure timeshare sales tactics in the comments.
Honestly, you open it up 1 week to the broader public and they're trying to sell you stuff already. That's our job. We sell you stuff. Honestly, God.
350 quid for a week sounds like a fucking great deal, but
it does. I can use me 9,000 million Avios points to get 26 quid off the flight. So, should we do some news? Now we've done player
I think we
spotted.
better add, yeah.
All of you can send player spotted in, of course. So, news-wise, do you want to start me off? Got a few bits here. It's been quite a newsy
Yeah,
Saturday, hasn't
it's
it?
quite a newsy week. Well, this is the week where everybody can say where they're playing next season, isn't it?
True,
Which
that's
is
very true.
lots of people playing elsewhere. Perhaps most notably of which Ellis Genge joining Bristol, coming back home. And for a lot less money than he's currently on, according to Pat Lam, which is interesting. Basically taking a massive pay cut to go and be closer to home, which
I bet there's absolutely nothing else or any other way to maximise the income that he's bringing in
I'm sure
we could maybe find if we had a look.
I'm sure that I've already looked on Company's House. He hasn't registered any new companies in the last couple of days.
Definitely
Steve
not.
Lansdowne.
There's
They're not going to do the
definitely
exact same thing. It'll be a different shenanigans.
I'm sure it's all very above board within the spirit of what they're trying to achieve, but
Well,
it is slightly coincidental.
Is it? Yeah, and it's interesting. Like he's club captain at Leicester now, right? But it's very easy to forget that. Remember when he nearly basically said "fuck you, sack me"? Then when they told him to take a pay cut at the start of the pandemic, and then at the 11:59 and however many seconds of the deadline, they came to an agreement, but it was never revealed how that situation was resolved, and it might well have been that Leicester went, all right, you can just keep earning your pre-pandemic wage for the remainder of your contract. And I wonder if that was the case. That's why he's taking a massive fucking pay cut, because it's like, well, yeah, you didn't take a quarter off your pay like everybody else did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Either way, excellent signing for Bristol, who will hopefully be able to solve their lack of big carriers problem that has plagued them so much this season by going, here's Kyle Sinclair and here's Ellis Genge. Enjoy.
So, all England pair of props.
Yeah, not bad. Still haven't got anything else in the second row. Still piss poor, and the back row lacks balance. But if nothing else, those two will add some ooft, I would imagine.
Speaking of second rows, two bits of news. Sam Skinner is leaving Exeter.
Yes, off to Edinburgh.
He's off to Edinburgh.
And Johnny Hill's going to Sale, apparently. Which, when you factor in the rumours of Hogg going back to Glasgow, it does make you wonder if Exeter might not just be due a full rebrand off the field. They've spent a lot of money in the last couple of years on some very fancy players, and you wonder if salary cap's down to 5 mil now, isn't it?
Yeah, and who's I mean, with Exeter, there's always a chance of somebody coming through. But Arman's been playing, hasn't he? Been coming on at lock.
Well, this is the problem for Exeter. They've all of a sudden got a lot of England, quite sort of high tariff England players that they need to keep hold of. They've got the Saracens problem. They've got, when you look through that team, you just think, well, all of them, whether it's, there's this talk that Jack Noah might be off as well, going to Japan. But when you look at that England team now and you think, well, Henry Slade is absolutely fucking rooted as a senior,
He's a nailed-on starter, isn't he?
Yeah, he's an England Test starter, ergo money. You've got Johnny Hill, who's presumably earning lots of money, players like Luke Dickey, obviously.
I'm not sure when maybe Johnny Hill wasn't earning that much money because he signed his contract before he blew up. Exactly. And now he has blown up. And
this is his first big contract, and they've gone, ugh. And to play, Sam Simmons has probably got himself back into it, has now got Lyon and England next to his name, which means that he can probably be due quite a big old fucking pay rise. And, players like Joe Simmons will be in demand, Tom O'Flaherty's probably in demand. There's a lot of those players that are they've basically been enjoying paying peanuts to for the last couple of years that they're probably now going to have to.
And that could be the model that they work to because they
it could be.
Trust their academy or their clever signing so much that they think, we can let him go because we've got, I don't know enough about it to be honest, but they've got,
Well, you look at Exeter and you think, well, we've got Christ Chinzer coming through. He's already a Wales international. So
That's
Like,
true. You got Kirsten, haven't you? Armand's
yeah,
worth
you
doing
got
anything to do
Kirsten.
a job.
Yeah, and
And you don't lose them to well, not so much Christ, but you don't lose the likes of Kirsten and Armand to international call-ups, do you? So there's something to be
no,
said
I don't
for
think they're
everybody.
gonna. I don't think they're gonna lose Christ that much over the next. Now that he's capped, there's no fucking pressure to, drop him in, and they've got, they still got a very good squad there. But you do think that, yeah, it's sort of like the opposite of the Saracens model, where the Saracens model was heavily invest in keeping our core players here, even if we have to break the salary cap to do it. Exeter's model is just keep the fucking production line going, and that's certainly a more fucking, it's a lot more of a sensible financial one to do if that is their model. But losing Johnny Hill and Sam Skinner, and maybe Stuart Hogg and maybe Jack Noel, that's a big old loss combined with the players that they lost last season as well.
Ryan Lowe has just confirmed Premiership caps 5 million, ERC cap 3.1 million.
Yes, South African rugby upped their salary cap for the ERC teams to about £3 million, which sounds like fuck all compared to the Premier or top 14 when you factor in like.
Well, it's 60%, isn't it? 66% effectively.
Yeah, and Premierships have got the marquee player rule, so you can add another million or two on top of that. But when you'd think that South Africa's cost of living is basically half what it is in the UK or France or Japan, like that's all of a sudden South Africa is not uncompetitive in terms of, and we're seeing rumours of players like Lou Diaga going home for starters. Like you wonder if that might start to become more of a thing, especially if the top 14 say they're going to cut they're saying today that they're going to cut their salary cap again, although cutting it to 10 million quid hardly see. I mean, nobody's going the fucking poor out anytime soon in France, but like, yeah, it's still, there all of a sudden there is less money sloshing around.
And yet they still are not anything like as ridiculously dominant as they should be with a £10 million salary cap, are they?
No, absolutely not.
I think
it's
all
weird.
it does is inflate the prices of people who are not that much better than people being paid half the amount in England, in all honesty.
It's very true. And, particularly the GIF French like the fact that they've got to have like 60% of their squads or 80% of their squads now are French qualified. So it does mean that, there's in the same way that, like in the Premiership, in the football Premiership, there is this, tax of, English players cost much more than foreign players who are much better than them because they're much more valuable to have in squads than foreign players are. I think that we're starting to see that happening with France, where there's a lot more changing of players between French teams because they're starting to offer silly money to keep, and let's face it, this generation of French players is fucking mustard, so you can't blame them in that regard. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this all shakes out and whether there will, because there's some talk this week about an ERC-wide salary cap and how
it's difficult to do it across so many different economies, though, isn't it?
It's extremely hard to do it, and I don't see how, to be honest with you, Ireland would ever go for it because they go to such great lengths to, obscure how much money they spend on their players that why would they ever agree to something that would A, make that public, and B, limit their spending in any way. I just don't see it happening. But it is probably the only way that the ERC is ever going to become a genuinely competitive league. So who knows? We'll see how much power South African broadcast money wields, I guess.
But I suppose when you think about the big names they've got at sale, you can only assume they're signing Johnny Hill because there's an announcement coming that Diaga is going.
You would imagine so. You would imagine they
For
can't.
example,
they're basically replacing what, Diaga's probably on more money than what a fucking giant cart horse like Johnny Hill would.
Yeah, plus Johnny Hill supplemented by his England bonuses and stuff. You could probably offset some
exactly.
of that stuff.
And
they get a bit of income as well.
You get a bit they get payment for Johnny Hill as being an English qualified player. So there's definite, he'll probably be on less money than Lude was on to come from South Africa as a World Cup winner
and bring some income with him.
and probably wouldn't cost that much anyway because he's Johnny Hill. And he'll probably be there more because he won't fuck off to the Rugby Championship for large swathes of the year.
And I do think that the trouble is you have to offset that against how much more money you'll have to spend on your mind gym for Johnny Hill. Because I get the feeling he'd need a much bigger mind gym.
I was going to say, everything about Johnny Hill is bigger. But
except for
except
for maybe the obvious. He's like a really angry stegosaurus. Basically.
It's exactly that. It's like giant, the bigger the man, in the same way that, dinosaurs only were as big as they were because their brains were fucking tiny. You kind of feel like Johnny Hill is maybe that a little bit. I don't know. Maybe he's a fucking Renaissance man and he's just been keeping it real quiet, but neither his haircut nor the way that he comports himself on field really makes me think any different, to be brutally honest.
Yeah, so there you go. So Sam Skinner off to it. That's a good signing, I think.
It's really good signing.
Again, it's difficult this time of year because you don't know who's leaving.
No,
that's the thing, is it? Because all these things get announced, and you think, well, that'd be great if you add that to the squad they got now. But what happened to Edinburgh squad last year? So it's
it's interesting. I think clearly some money has been found down the back of the sofa in the SRU, because Edinburgh and Glasgow have not been performing for the last couple of seasons to the level that they were expected to do so, and that has clearly resulted in some quite heavy investment from the SRU. But it's an interesting change in policy. If Hogg does go back to Glasgow, for example, because Scotland's whole fucking gig has been, we don't really care where our lads are playing, because they're probably playing at a higher level than what we could offer them in Scotland, and it enables us to have more players coming through and have a wider player base when we've only got two teams. If they're now trying to sort of do a Wales and bring more players home, it'll be interesting to see how that works out for Scotland's squad depth, because then all of a sudden you've got all of your players sort of concentrated in two teams.
I think like anything, there's something to be said for it and not said for it, really. I think having one, it's good for your clubs having effectively an international squad split into two club teams. In a way that lends itself to performing a bit better. Do you know what I mean? But actually, then again, the trouble is then if one of your club teams isn't playing well, do you bring that lack of confidence and lack of form into international setup as well, rather than having them pulled together from different parts where it's not quite as impactful? I don't know. It's hard to it's hard to know, because they are unique in that sense, aren't they? With it just being the two clubs.
Yeah, and if you've got, two fly-offs and one at each club that's starting, and then one of them gets injured, then all of a sudden the lad that's been sat on the bench for most of the season all of a sudden is Scotland's second choice 10.
All of a sudden, Jaco van der Valt's an international player.
Well, exactly. Yeah. These are the sort of dark, Jaco van der Vaalt, culturally appropriating Scotland. As Stephen Jones,
as our friend Stephen Jones has said. More of that later. No doubt.
Oh my god. Anyway,
Josh Smith in the comments has pointed out that Ben Toulis is leaving Edinburgh, which is allowing the Skinner sign. And there's also rumor that Bill Matter's going.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Any other news? That's the signings. Any more news?
Brad Shields got suspended and then unsuspended, which is a very helpful way to illustrate what a fucking state rugby has got itself into regarding dangerous challenges. Ref, red card. Panel, 4-week ban. Appeal panel, yellow card. This is what happens if you just go, no, we're not going to zero tolerance this. We're just going to leave a huge swathe of interpretation so nobody really knows. Yeah. The rules are basically blancmange now.
The best way to deal with people getting Parkinson's at the age of 42 is to purely do everything on vibes.
Yeah.
That's absolutely the right policy.
To Poit, he was ref. He does, and always had refed on vibes, but they were good vibes.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't know where to start. I'm bored of talking about it.
No, we can't do it no more.
It's clear.
Everyone knows our position on this.
It's clearly fucking broke, and it would be there'd be a lot less fucking debate about it if they just went back to being fucking zero tolerancy as a game, because at least then people would know where they stood.
What else we got here then? Ronan O'Gara doesn't want to manage Munster, or at least not right now. There was one focus that I'm quite happy living in La Rochelle. Thanks.
Yeah, which I mean, you can sympathise for a variety of reasons why he might be happier living in France. Both socially and, but yeah, he's it was quite a weird sort of thing that he said about it. Like, he basically said they called him and then said that he'd be a Judas if he left. So he admitted to taking a call from Munster and thinking about it, but then was like, I'd be some Judas if I didn't. And then he said that the top 14 was a ball breaker of a league, which I found very funny as a way of, yeah. But yeah, he said that he's not going anywhere until 2023, which will be interesting because if you're Munster, do you then get someone in on a year with the thoughts that in a year's time Ronan O'Gara will be available?
I also think it's weird going back to a club you've been a playing legend to then manage as well. I mean, Leo Cullen did it, continues to do it.
Leo Cullen was fucking heading rapidly off a cliff until Stu Lancaster turned up. Let's never ever forget this.
Got something about him as a coach. But the point, Leo Cullen's a good point. It's like, what do you have to gain, really? I suppose there's a far bigger risk of your reputation within the club going downhill, going back as a manager.
100%, yeah. What have you got? What have you got to gain there?
I mean, you could be very successful and become an uber
legend, even bigger legend. Yeah, you could become the biggest legend in the history. Yeah. Like I've also found it interesting that like O'Gara basically just listed all the people that Munster should talk to. Like give it Mike Prendergast and Graham Rowntree for a year is a funny suggestion from his, which I think, yeah, why not? Harlequins showed that they don't need a coach last season. Just let them get on with it.
Just create a vaguely tied together brains trust who somehow who just do their own thing during the week and see what happens.
I mean, don't try not to, you wouldn't enjoy watching chaotic Graham Rowntree, Mike Prendergast, Munster. It'd be bags of fun. It'd be way more fun than this sensible Munster we currently have.
So we'll see what happens there. Well, I suppose two things. One, he won't be managing Munster, and two, he's not leaving La Rochelle for a little while. So I suppose news that surprises nobody, really. You got any more news?
No.
I've got a couple of things. We found out that it's terrible news. Very sad news. We found out Ivan Phillips has actually lost his leg.
Oh yeah, that's public knowledge now, which is fucking dreadful. But he's somehow still smiling. Just a very positive young man, and yeah, he said, you've basically paid for my new leg, and I'm gonna get on it. I continue to be active, and it's like, well, fair play to you, mate. I'm not sure I'd be your fucking level of sunny at this point.
Get busy living and all that.
Indeed.
Speaking of it, sports personalities, a total disgrace last night. No sign of Sir Kev at all.
Nope.
He's beyond that. He's too big for that. He's beyond that now.
It's too good for it. Just give him the fucking knighthood that we already assumed that he had anyway.
Which you've all given him anyway. Yeah. So England are going to play South Africa and New Zealand next autumn.
Oh, yes, they are, yeah.
In what Eddie Jones is, and nobody else at all, but Eddie Jones is calling a mini World Cup. I call it like every other autumn that's ever been every year for the past 25 years. Yeah.
I like how they waited to make sure that New Zealand was shit before they agreed to play in the game there.
Yes.
Are they shit now? All right, yeah, okay, we'll do it.
Eddie Jones described it as a mini World Cup. Okay. I don't think that's going to catch on, but that's fine.
Did you see Brett Gosper this week saying that his biggest regret being at his time at World Rugby was not getting the fucking World Nations Championship bollocks, whatever the fuck it was, off the ground? It's like, honestly, of all the stupid things you did in your time at World Rugby, and
it wasn't his code over. He hasn't accepted that.
It wasn't appearing in Dan Leo's documentary and looking like a total fucking twat. It was not getting that god-awful dog shit excuse for a fucking annual World Cup off the fucking ground. Good fucking riddance.
My biggest regret, however, was to allow camera angles from the back in that documentary. I should never have allowed that to happen. Yeah, but in other news related to that, being heavily trailed in the news that there's a World Club Championship type thing possibly on its way. I'm
we
not
can
buying
barely
it,
run a fucking European tournament at the moment. We can barely run a cross-national tournament at the moment. Let's hold our fucking horses, eh?
why? I mean, I'm sorry to get this drum out again, but why are we wasting our time on the likes of this? When we could just simply
all-star
do,
game.
yeah, Donde está all-star game.
Yeah. Where is it because we've trademarked it and World Rugby just
I
don't want
reckon
to
that's
give us our
definitely what it is.
fucking
I reckon
fair
they've
due.
got rooms and rooms of lawyers locked in, wondering whether they can even go forward with it because of they've heard us say
Going, it's not worth it. They'll never sell it to us. It's like,
No.
we will. Like, and put it on record now. We will sell it to you for a very reasonable fee.
I mean, nothing else has been called an all-star game before, has it? That
No,
we might be falling foul of, has it?
We have intellectually copyrighted the concept of a rugby union all-star game, and I will not have anybody argue about otherwise, frankly.
Have you put a non-fungible token on it?
I'll come to that fucking later.
More NFT action later.
Yes.
So, last bit of news from me is that Wales are stopping sport, but not really. They've stopped the Newport County and Cardiff City games over Christmas. Have they cancelled the derby?
Drags Ospreys is off, but that's only because the Ospreys are absolutely fucking riddled with COVID at the moment.
Yeah, there's been no government line on stopping them, has there? Maybe they're just
no,
waiting for them all to get
just
shortly
before we came on air. The Ospreys said that they've got a number. I think they've got 18 cases amongst players and staff, and they're mainly Omicron. So the Welsh government's gone, no, you're not playing that. And they've gone, yeah, fair enough. Which, interestingly, though, the Ospreys have said, or claimed at least, that they are 100% vaccinated. So I don't know if any other teams have actually gone on record and said that they're fully vaccinated yet. I haven't seen many. I know a lot of them have said that most of their players are vaccinated, but nobody's put a number on it yet. So given that the Prem is now going to, the football Prem is now going to do monthly, it's said that they're going to do monthly updates on how vaccinated their players are. You wonder if that might start coming to rugby, and I wonder how bad it will be. So
it's not looking good in football, is it? They've got really low uptake.
Outside of the Premiership, it's 59 in the football leagues. 59% fucking vaccinated, man.
Weird,
unbelievably shit. Ugh.
Is that it for news then?
I think it is, yeah.
Oh, it could be our earliest finished ever in terms of news. Rattling through this. So, we now move to talk about the weekend and some game that you've invented. So we'll see what happens with that one.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
So we will leave obviously we've got non-patrons on the live stream. You can see hello everybody, but those of you who are listening and you're a non-patron, you will not hear this next bit. Okay,
no, so
we will speak to you all in a bit because we're going to talk about the weekend today. Right, we move on.
We do.
To talk about the incredible cornucopia of enormous rugby that happened over the weekend.
Yeah.
Obviously, the first thing to talk about is the fact that there wasn't much, was there?
Yeah. The EPCR isn't fit for purpose and should be dissolved.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, right? One of rugby's great specialties historically has been creating an uneven playing field. But it's really impressive that something that's only existed since 2015 can have already developed such a patently biased structure as the one that the EPCR does. Because what else can you do to describe what happened this week? Like just after, a couple of weeks ago, we were told that regardless of how out of their control it was, regardless of how competitively unfair it was, Cardiff Scarlets and Munster would just have to field scratch teams or forfeits because there was no scope for matches to be rescheduled. And then the second that situation was in danger of compromising the European fortunes of English and French clubs, all of a sudden, fucking postponements for everybody. I mean, it stinks. It absolutely stinks to high heaven. And yeah, if I was Cardiff or the Scarlets, I would be warming up my fucking lawyers right now. And also Leinster and Ospreys, who were made to forfeit games that didn't even fucking happen, and would never have happened anyway. Like, I mean,
as I said in my tweet in the week, I'm following some of this lead and I'm cancelling everyone who's coming to my house at Christmas, but I'm still going to charge them for the meal I'm not making anymore.
It just, what little credibility the Champions Cup had this season with them persisting with their stupid, blatantly rigged format that they've.
And let's be honest, it was hanging by a thread.
Absolutely, that whole format was a shambles designed exclusively to make sure that all the big teams got into the knockout.
I mean, it gave us some rugby to watch, I guess. So
and it gave us rugby to watch. But, in terms of sporting credibility, it was fucking dog shit. And now they've just gone, oh, hang on, Racing and some of these big French clubs might actually get 28-0 walkovers because they don't want to travel. Oh, hang on. Yeah, all of a sudden we're going to find a way to play these games somehow. It's just, there's nothing, unless they just go, you know what, this whole pool phase thing was just a nice distraction for you. It's all null and void. Don't worry about it. And just start the competition again in fucking January. I don't see how they get out of this. I don't see how you can recover from this as an organization, as a competition. It's dog shit. It's nonsense. It's supposed to be the fucking pinnacle of European club rugby, and it's being run like a fucking five-a-side tournament.
It's difficult for everybody to deal with a moving situation.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll say that. However, we are 18 months to 2 years into this now.
Yeah.
And the contingency should be better and more consistently applied and more sensibly applied, rather than tweeting last week that it held hours a meeting to say you can forfeit, for example.
Yeah.
It was all a bit ridiculous, to be honest.
Yeah, there was a lot of fuck you being doled out until the people who, let's not forget, tore up the old ERC and decided to start their own thing to run club rugby in Premiership Rugby and the LNR. A second that they were going to get inconvenienced and fucked over by this, all of a sudden, that's an entirely different conversation, apparently. And there's a lot less shrugging of shoulders and going, oh, well, you can fucking forfeit 28-0 then. It's staggering to see that level of blatant unfairness just play out. Yeah,
make it knockout rugby. Josh says, "Yeah, let's get some jeopardy back in. Just make it into a normal straight up tournament draw.
They can't. There's 25 teams, so you can't do that as a fucking sensible bracket now. There's 25 fucking teams. It's an odd number.
Just pull another team in.
Yeah, I was just say pull a team in from the Challenge Cup.
Yeah,
and then make it a 20. Yeah, why not? Whoever's won the most uncancelled games in the Challenge Cup gets to come into a new straight knockout competition, or as Rian Lowe suggests, double Rainbow Cup. Yes. That's what we all want. We all enjoyed the Rainbow Cup much more than we're enjoying this. So fuck it, do it.
I want Rainbow Cup Major League Rugby vibes. I basically want Cardiff versus Harlequins vibes for every single fucking game from here on in. So,
but this is the thing. Like, to move on from how much of a shambles EPCR is, I want people to stop telling me that Dan Fish is good.
Yeah, come on now.
Because Dan Fish is not good. Dan Fish has never been good. And 40 minutes of being vaguely fun at fly-off against the most chaotic team in world rugby is not enough to convince me that he should unretire or that he should keep on playing. Because everyone involved at Cardiff in the last 2 weeks, right? Everyone that's behind the scenes, on the field, everyone involved, heroes. And they deserve to be held up as such by Cardiff fans for years to come. They've written the first truly epic chapter in the young history of this new regional rugby franchise that has basically no history of its own yet. And they should be really proud of that. And he played, and, Danfish, he played really well. I'm going to keep trying to get through it. Danfish played really well up until the moment that he decided he was going to shit out cheap shot Tyrone Green in the face, right? At which point he should probably cop a ban that will hopefully mean retirement sticks this time. But that's a good thing. Like, Danfish will never have to buy a beer for himself in Cardiff for many years to come now. And that's how it should be. It was this weird, unique, like brilliant moment in rugby history that can't be replicated or copied or used as a lesson for how things should be. Like, it's not proof that rugby needs more games where a bunch of hopelessly outclassed academy lads and journeymen have to mix it up with teams operating with fucking lions and infinitely larger resources week in, week out, because Welsh teams have been doing that in the same league as Irish teams for years, and nobody's ever painted that as an endearing David and Goliath story, quite frankly. So yeah, let's just enjoy this last 2 weeks. They were a unique and weird thing that will live long in the memory. But just like watching Glasgow and Exeter play in pea soup, it was fun for a little bit. But I don't want to see it every week.
No.
Let's not make this silly, weird novelty thing into something serious.
What?
That's how One Way Ticket to Hell and Back by the Darkness happened, and frankly, nobody needs that.
What I liked about it was how the madness infected the other team as well.
Absolutely, but the thing that Quins are perfectly situated to embrace Quins exist in a state of perpetual chaos, and then Cardiff turned up and were like, right, chaos is it, and they were like, oh, what? Hang on, these boys want to do chaos as well. Let's have loads more chaos.
So the same the week before. It was just like, instead of sitting there going, right, lads, this lot are fucking terrible. And the full of people who are basically fucking. There's one bloke who mows lawns all week. There's one bloke who's had to probably teach kids how to go to the toilet all week as a primary school teacher. And then you've got us. So and the rest. So we can just go out there and fucking play the way we play and fucking batter them and not make this anything. But no.
If they'd have had Saracens and Exeter instead of Toulouse and Harlequins, that would have been 2 80-0 walkovers. And and nobody would have found it heroic or endearing watching fucking Maro Itoje trample on fucking some poor fucking bricklayer's face.
They'd be saying nobody should be allowed to make that. This game shouldn't have been allowed to go ahead. It's an absolute disgrace.
It's borderline unsafe, etc.
There would have been a lot of that, wouldn't there?
Yeah, there would have been.
But as you said last week, the likes of Rowan Jenkins and stuff would have been like, "Oh, this is fucking ace. I get to go in."
Yeah, it would have just. There's no bad side about it, like, except for the fact that it shouldn't happen every week. I don't think,
No, indeed.
And
it's just, but it was just fucking great because But like Danfish, right? Danfish wasn't good because when you looked at him, it was like, I've played with fly-overs who do those runs. And I played at a terrible level. Do you know, like basically just randomly running in stupid directions and stuff, and just like not just looking,
just arcing towards where he sees space, not where the space actually is.
Yeah,
was what he was doing a lot of, and it was so confusing for teams used to defending against structure that, again, mad fun shit happened, and that's just I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was very silly. I don't need to see it every week.
No, and it would actually just get worse every week because people would stop.
It would get sad.
Because I think the opposition teams are kind of going, "Oh, this is a laugh at it. Let's just go with this for a week." But
we're guaranteed a bonus point win here, lads. Let's go out and have some fun. It's nearly Christmas.
If this went on, if this was like all the time, we'd be having a hell of a lot of "there's always next season, there's always next year" content for our end of year roundup of people who got fucking battered.
And also the fucking jouet of them being fucking, us against the world would wear off real fucking quick. Because it wouldn't be them against the world. If this was every week, this would just be normal. It's a totally unique situation that cannot.
If this was every week, this would be like the Dragons 5 years ago.
Well, yeah, it would be like
nobody wanted to be involved in that. Or look at it.
Yeah, it'd be like Zebra, and who tunes in? I didn't even watch. I didn't even tune in to watch Chesley Colby play against Zebra this week, for God's sake.
Do you remember when Zebra were in the fucking European Top Cup?
I do that moment, that 2 years where they were moderately okay.
But when an Italian team kept getting in, it's like, who's learning anything here? The
Literally,
team beating
I
them
mean,
by 70 points, isn't it? And they're, I imagine, completely pissed off. So
it did turn out that the team that was learning was Benetton, who are now all right. But the team that absolutely wasn't learning was Zebra, and they are still a bag of shite. And the Dragons obviously haven't learned anything from anything. Do you know? I was weirdly reading about the very brief Declan Kidley dalliance with the Dragons, where he basically quit before he even started.
I'd forgotten that even happened.
Me too. He was originally Mike Ruddock's replacement, and then Leinster offered him a job, and I don't think he even fucking sat at his desk. But did you know that in 2008, right, the Dragons qualified for the Heineken Cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Despite being the worst ranked Welsh region. And in those days, because this was pre-Pro 12, Italians joined the Celtic League, the lowest ranked Welsh team had to do a playoff game against the Italian champions to get into the Heineken Cup, which they'd lost the season before when they lost, although a couple of seasons before, they lost to fucking Overmouth Parma, which is one of the worst results in the history of Welsh Rugby Union. But in 2008, right, they qualified automatically because the Italian league hadn't finished yet. What a way to qualify for Europe.
Europe's
you've qualified
premier
for Europe,
competition, ladies and gentlemen.
Because the Dragons automatically qualify because the Italian league hasn't finished by the date that we said that this game had to happen on. So you just get the win.
I do think it's easy to forget that rugby's only been professional for 25 years.
Yeah.
So it's still, in a way,
it's
still like the fucking Dodge City of professional sport. It's still kind of, in some ways, shaking out a lot of this shit, isn't it?
Or not shaking out a lot of this shit.
Yes, yeah, quite.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't that, 13 years ago to have something as fucking shambolic as that in a top tier
Who could
competition.
have foreseen that the Italian league wouldn't finish on time, given that the fixtures are decided at the start of the season?
Yeah, imagine this guy. Brian, what? What was your one job 6 months ago? Well, I don't. Did you want me to bring the printer paper in? No, that wasn't it, was it, Brian? No. Your job was to tell us an accurate date when.
Look, they assured me that it was. Oh, sorry, they do. They said May, didn't they? Oh, I thought they meant April. Never mind. Oh well, it's not going to be a big deal, is it? No, it's fine. We'll just put the Dragons in.
I reckon that all happened because Brian was hazed by the shithouses in the office who ripped some pages out of his calendar, and that's why he thought it was all fine.
Let's be real. Could happen.
Could happen. Right. So that was, a wonderful game. Great fun. Again, stopped being fun after about an hour.
It did. It was fun it was real fun until halftime. Real fun.
Yeah.
And then inevitable things happened, and then it was just not really that interesting.
It's the sheer physical power that takes over, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Alex Donbrand just decided, you know what, I'm just going to fucking run all over you now, and there's absolutely nothing you can do.
Despite Jim Botham's best efforts.
Yes, but there's only so much that Jim Botham can do on his own, which was basically where he was, bless him.
Who was it? Was it? And Josh Adams attempted to Catherine wheel people.
Indeed, yeah. Like everyone, it had a big, it entirely had a last week of term vibe to the whole thing, which is extremely fitting. Like, Josh Adams had brought in his fucking Catherine wheel machine, and everyone was having to go on Dan Fish's remote control car. It was just. We should appreciate it.
It was the other comment. Oh, he's trying to wrap his arms there. Josh said, wrap his arms what? What? Round the back of his own head like that? Yeah. As he throws him over. Or in the same way John Travolta tried to wrap his own arms while dancing to Staying Alive. It was fucking bizarre. Right. So what else have we got? From the world? Then there was, as you've already mentioned it, the great Fogula scenario.
I tell you what, right? It's a fucking testament to how fucking horrible Exeter are to play against that Glasgow didn't win that game much more comfortably than the scoreline suggested. Like, because Glasgow dominated every facet of that game from basically the start of the game. They didn't look like losing it, and they were really good value for their 22-7 or something in the end. They scored that try right at the death. But you've got to take your hats off to Exeter that they could be comprehensively outplayed in every facet of the game, with the exception of the line-out, which was fine, but not very effective. But other than that, they got absolutely beaten, which you never see in all facets of the game, and yet they just couldn't score until every time Glasgow got a line break or found themselves in sight of the line, Exeter were just like, no. We're just going to, somehow we'll get somebody back to cover and somebody to force an error, somebody to cut off the chance. Glasgow carried for 464 metres, right? 119 carries, which is a lot. 4 clean breaks and scored 1 try. Versus Leicester carrying for 300 metres or 56 carries and only had 3 clean breaks and managed to score 4 tries. It showed there's so much it was so hard to get even when you're on top in every facet of the game, which Glasgow were, they just still make you sweat blood for every fucking point against them. It must just be exhausting. I felt tired. No wonder those Glasgow players did a little synchronized jump at the end. That was just the last fucking that was the last fucking vinegar strokes of their energy just being expelled from their bodies after 80 minutes of just smashing their faces up against a brick wall.
For one beautiful moment, I thought Exeter were going to get nilled, which would have really made my weekend.
Fucking hilarious, wouldn't it? But
unfortunately, no. And me mentioning it probably made sure it didn't happen. But but no, it was like you said, not playing well at all. It's the first.
They were shit
in terms of the arc of the Exeter experience. This is the first time it's significantly gone down. I mean, they're well in the hunt in the Premiership, aren't they? But is it the first time there's been significantly it's dipped? I think it probably is.
You've got. I mean,
the trend line has been upwards for a decade, hasn't it?
Yeah, and last season, they obviously didn't do as well in Europe as I don't think they got out of the pool in the end, did they? Or they lost at home to Leinster in the round of 16, didn't they?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And you look at them now; they've won 1, lost 1 in the pool stages. They're 5th in the Prem. It feels like while they could equally, you look at that. Let's not forget that Exeter team on the weekend was pretty much full Billy. Everyone was there that they could possibly have had there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's. They still look like a team that, if they get on a run, could easily win the Premiership and the Champions Cup this year if they feel like it. But it's increasingly looking like the players, what they have got in to replace the players that they've lost, don't seem to be as effective as the players that they've. Yeah, they just don't seem to be as effective as the players that they've lost.
It seems to be a combination of the change in the maul rules.
Yeah, well, that
it doesn't take much. A few people just not playing as well as they should.
Getting old, man. Quite a lot of those
the front row seems to be falling apart a bit.
Yeah, they fucking miss Thomas. Thomas Francis has not been good for the Ospreys this season at all, or Wales for that matter, to be honest. But they missed. The lad they've got in from the Chiefs to replace him. He's a big fucking unit, but he doesn't seem to be able to. Certainly in the set piece, he's not doing as good a job as Tom Francis did. And yeah, I don't know. And
I just don't think Joe Simmons is the player that people thought he was.
What? Not knighted Joe Simmons, you mean?
Joe Simmons, MBE, CBE, Lord of all the animals and the fishes in the sea, has not managed. No, he's not managed to kick on.
No, I mean, to be fair to him, he's allowed to go a bit shit for a while. He's 24. his sort of trajectory is allowed to be a little bit wavy at this point because he's still probably not in the prime of what you would expect his career to be. But yeah, I don't. As you say, it's a combination. They've lost a lot of players that were really important for them, or they've lost a couple of players that were really important for them. And yeah, like the players that players like Dave Ewers and fucking Don Armand, and they're getting old, man. Like they're in their 30s now. They're allowed to sort of be a bit. They've relied on them more than I think they probably would have wanted to rely on them.
Harvey Skinner looks decent.
He
the
does.
Replacement 10 that they've got. And again, it's notable that he's started a few games out of Joe Simmons this year. And I think maybe not because Simmons is terrible or anything, just because I think they like having a look at him. But I suppose you can't just maintain it forever. It's the first real test, I think, in some ways, of Rob Baxter's, whatever you might want to call it, ability, structures, how he changes
squad building, I think, is that because like it's people always talk about the Alex Ferguson's ability to kind of build and then rebuild teams several times over, and the mark of great coaches is that ability to kind of and knowing when to get rid of the players that you are have served you well. And it's an interesting thing when you look at the sort of, like, obviously Saracens are kind of powered by spite at the moment. So I'm sure that will be fine. But like Saracens haven't really fully detached from the team that sort of 2 or 3 years ago was very, very good, despite the fact that a lot of those players, there's going to become a reckoning where the Vunipolas and Farrell and a few of the other players that they kind of have depended on for a while are going to be past their best. And it's going to be interesting to see how they manage that as well. Because it's interesting, it's sort of weirdly happening in parallel that these two teams that fucking hate each other so much are both sort of looking down the barrel of having to potentially to refresh the squads and refresh the teams at times when the salary cap is shrinking and they can't just go out and put a fucking £500,000 a year sticking plaster on it like they would have maybe been able to a couple of years ago. It'll be really fucking interesting to see how this all plays out, I think.
Yeah. I said Josh Smith just said in the comments about how Nell eviscerated Saracens. The depth's not as good. Like you said, because I think, like, to back up your point, they're kind of powered by spite, aren't they?
Yeah. And Saracens are not nearly as spitey against Edinburgh as they are versus the entire rest of the Premiership, for example,
And then I suppose the only other game that was played was in the Big Cup was Leicester versus Connacht, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there was Munster cast as well.
Oh, Munster cast, yeah. So it was so awful.
Genuinely
I tried to block it out of my main.
Unbelievably bad game.
Amazing it even got off the ground though. Why could Castro travel and no one else could?
Yeah,
is it because
it was to Ireland?
I think it's because it's Castro. They just went, fuck off.
They just cast their fucking pricks, wouldn't they?
Fucking travelling. Don't listen to what you say.
What the fuck was that about at the end, by the way? Where your man took fucking 7 million years to take a conversion when they needed 3 points to tie it, and then just gave up.
I don't know. It was very strange.
He just fucking kicked it out. It was weird. It's like, I don't know.
Speaking of people towards the end, it showed you how mad Dan Fisher's running with the ball was. And at the end of the first half, when he ran backwards to gain time to kick it out, it didn't look that strange.
No,
so I mean, the direction was like, oh, he's gone on one of them runs. Oh no, it's half time. Oh, no. That's what he's doing.
Oh, right, fair enough. Yeah.
That's very, very funny.
Yes, it was a very good game. Actually, probably the game of the weekend between Connacht and Leicester.
Yeah, I didn't catch a lot of it, I must say.
It was It was a good game. It was interesting how sort of how Leicester seemed to just be kind of like, oh well, we're not really that bothered about England this year, Europe this year, rather. It's like George Ford, don't need him. Like, we're going to give Ellis Genge a week off. It's yeah, I don't know. It just felt like they were not really that bothered until Connacht turned up and started scoring tries, and they were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we are bothered now." And it was very fun. Like, both teams played a lot of good rugby, and I think it probably, if you're Leicester, rather, you're going to be like primarily just quite relieved that you've actually you've got a win at home, because that Connacht team were not fucking mucking about at all.
They seem to be growing into the season a bit, Connacht, weren't they? When I saw
They
them
really
at
are.
Cardiff early door, they were very bad.
They were,
But they seem to be
and
growing into it a bit.
I think they are big time, actually. And I think you look at that squad and you just think, particularly the sort of the Aussie contingent that they've got in that Connacht team, that are sort of alloying to the homegrown players that they've got. People like John Porch and Ben O'Donnell, and obviously Mac Hanson's going to be an Ireland player soon, but he's currently Australian. But you look and you just go, yeah, these guys are fucking, like, at no point did a lot of teams go to Welford Road and are beaten before they even fucking step on the pitch, because it's Welford Road and it's Leicester, especially given the fucking situation that Leicester are currently in, where they fucking smash everybody into a fine pace. But fair play to Jack Carty and Kieran Marmion, who just went out there and were like, no, fuck it, we're gonna score some tries and we're gonna take some opportunities and we're gonna not fucking shirk out of the physical challenge at all. And they were really fucking good, particularly up front.
I mean, of the people that are fit and playing,
Yeah,
Carty and Marmion are in a shout for the best half-back pairing in the country, I think.
yeah. And I mean, genuinely, if I was going to do it my good later, but genuinely, if Ireland don't pick him now, Jack Carty.
I was say not Kieran Marmion, surely, but yeah,
No.
they've been there. Yeah,
hold the phone.
He has beaten the All Blacks, though, so you've got to say that for him, haven't you? Who hasn't in Ireland now, though? Who has beaten the All Blacks in Ireland these days?
But like, yeah, if Ireland don't pick Jack Carty now, he should just go and play for America like his brother does, just to spite him. Because but yeah, a really good game, a really entertaining game, a very sort of physical game. It was a very Leicester game, and yet a very un-Leicester game. It was sort of a weird kind of, in that it was very forward-led and very physical, but there was actually some really good fun tries in there as well. And Ben Youngs continued to play really well.
Of course he is. And Montoya's still there, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird to think that, he's sort of the second choice hooker. Like, he's Argentina's captain, but somehow he's managed to become the second choice hooker at Leicester.
Behind a preposterously haired man.
Behind a man that you will not convince me is not just Moritz Botha wearing a scrum cap with some anti-aging cream added. Like, genuinely, he looks exact. Nick Dolly is Moritz Botha. If you've ever seen them in the same room, you never have, because they're the same guy. It's a sham, frankly.
George Martin continues to be quite a developing player. I will
he
say
does
that every time I see him. His line-out work's incredible as well. Absolutely incredible for a back rower. Right. Anything else from the weekend before we get on to this lovely game that I have not had a preview of, those gentlemen, so I've got no idea what this is going to be like.
No, you haven't. One thing actually. Glasgow's experience with extra fans this weekend shows that we have a bit of a long road ahead. Obviously, really good that Glasgow did come out after we broadcast last week, did the right thing and went, please don't wear your clothes, your dressing up clothes, and please don't sing that thing.
Yeah.
And they managed to get the clothes thing right, but there's clearly a vocal and angry minority who aren't going to listen to the whole leave your offensive chants at the door.
We'd rather you didn't turn up in blackface singing Deo, which is effectively what they're saying here. But people somehow find that. But if you said that to them, would you be upset and just go, "No, I'm fucking blackfacing and singing Deo"? But no, that's okay.
Yeah. Oh, I won't blackface. So
what we're
definitely
doing is
still singing Deo, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I won't pay myself. I'm definitely going to put an accent on or whatever. Anyway.
I found
It's
it
just
really
ridiculous, but yeah.
yeah. Well, I found it really interesting. It showed the sort of gulf between everyone. That there was that woman moaning on Twitter saying, "Oh, we changed the words to say Exeter, and yet they still called us racist." And it's like the lyrics to the fucking song are "whoa oh oh." They were not a problem. The lyrics were not offensive. It's the fact that the whole fucking thing is a hideous slice of pig shit thick cultural stereotyping, and changing a word while doing the same fucking thing doesn't change that. But the saintly work that Exeter Chiefs for Change have tried to do to educate their fellow Exeter fans as to why these things are fucking racist. Clearly, some people just cannot take it in or won't take it in.
It's just
And then they
willful
get,
ignorance now, or they're trying to
yeah,
find some technicality about where it is and why change the
yeah,
word.
this thing, we're going to try and make, yeah, they'll do it makes you understand a bit how fucking Tommy Hawk somehow managed to get out of the fucking ideas stage without being drowned, doesn't it? Like, if that's the level of engagement with multiculturalism and tolerance and general living in a society that people are doing, like, it's a miracle that we didn't end up with something much worse than Tommy the Hawk, frankly. But like, it shows that there will be we still have so much work to do educating people as to why this stuff, because as you say, they're just trying to look for fucking loopholes to carry on doing it, and it's not just no, it's not acceptable.
No, fair play to them. And you know, let's be honest. Anyway, some of this is going to come up later. We can talk about it later.
Quite.
Anything right? So, is it game time? Game time.
I
Game
think it might
time.
as well be game time. Yep.
Yes.
As it's the end of the year.
End of term feel. Yes.
End of the year, end of term. I'll come up with another ill-advised game for you. This game is called James Synonyms and Daniel, which
say that again.
James Synonyms and Daniel. Yeah,
I love it already.
Okay, it's a very simple game, right? What I've done is I've gone to www.synonym.com and I've typed the names of various rugby players. And what I've done is I've split their names up into the various components of their names, and I've rebuilt those names as weird cryptic crossword clues based on the synonymous results. What I have spouted out. Now,
I can guarantee I'm going to be fucking terrible at this, by the way.
So because it'd be like, because some of them don't have, I've had to do some of them phonetically. So let's take Owen Farrell.
This is like only Connect being fucking helmed by a chess grandmaster, as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, the funny thing is, I came up with this idea because a mate of mine who quite often just sends a group of us quizzes because he gets really bored at work, did this with football teams, and it annoyed the piss out of me. So I was like, wow.
Oh, pay it forward, I thought.
Exactly, I'm paying it forward.
Yeah.
So let's take, for example, Owen Farrell would become outstanding distant Hades. Owen becomes Owing, obviously, Owing, which becomes then outstanding. Far becomes distant, and hell becomes Hades. So Owing distant Hades becomes Owen Farrell.
You see, Owing for me wouldn't be outstanding. Outstanding,
no,
I would
same.
straight away think
same, exactly.
Really good.
But this is what the synonym.com did, so I had to kind of roll with it. I've got loads of these, and
Can I just say right now, I prefer the one with the cards.
I regret this already, but should we see how terribly?
Let's keep it short. Let's do two names at most. Let's go.
Let's see how we go. Okay, so your first one is affluent parrot.
Affluent parrot. Affluent rich.
Yes.
Parrot. Is it Rich or is it Richard?
I mean, it's Rich something.
Parrot.
What's the type of parrot? Different types of parrot.
Richie McCaw.
There it is. There it is. He's got it.
Yes.
I was very pleased with that one. I'll level with you. That was comfortably the easiest. All the rest. Well,
I'm glad you eased me in like a gentleman.
I eased you in. So this one, I would say I've split each split both names up into two constituent parts. So
Per
the first
syllable.
one, no, it's just two separate words that combined will give you the first name, and two
Right.
separate words combined will give you the surname. So
Right.
chump child mugging heir, as
Chump
in
child
yeah, mugging,
mugging.
and heir as in HEIR.
H-E-I. Oh. Now the surname is Robson.
Rob something son?
Robinson.
Robbing?
Robinson.
Robbins? Yes.
Robinson.
Now, I'll level with
Chump
you.
child.
I don't understand. I didn't understand what
Jason
happened.
Robinson.
It is Jason Robinson. I don't understand why chump was a synonym for Jay, but apparently it is. Look, I let none of these.
I'm doing better at this than I thought.
You're doing much better at this than I thought.
I'm taking this quite well.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm loving that I'm getting it just before people are commenting the right answers on the delay.
Yes. Right. Another one with two constituent parts for both surname, first name. First one, arthropod victored, achieve direct.
Arthropod
Victored.
Victored, as in victory.
Yes.
To victor.
Yeah.
In the past, yeah. Victored,
yeah.
Arthropod victored.
Yeah.
That was the second bit?
Achieve direct.
Achieve direct. I can't remember what an arthropod is.
It's a sort of insecty thing, I think. I mean, again, I'm just going what synonym.com told me.
Is victored wins? One?
One, yeah.
One. Insect one. Ant one?
Yeah. Antoine.
Yes. Achieve direct. See, I should be able to get it from Antoine. Isn't that kind of a name? Antoine achieve direct. Oh, fuck. Is it direct as in the verb? Or the adjective?
I don't really know. I did these this afternoon.
Honest to God. Them now. This is like... Josh Smith says Dupont. Is it Antoine Dupont?
It fucking is Antoine Dupont.
See, I wrote Antoine as in Antoine Fisher.
Oh, okay. I mean?
So I got all confused because I didn't write it in the French way.
Antoine Dupont it is indeed.
Hang on. So achieve direct, pont.
Achieve was due, apparently, and direct was pont, apparently.
What the fuck? What fucking synonym generator are you using?
It's synonym.com. I went straight to the source of all the synonyms.
So direct is pont.
I don't know, mate. I don't pretend to.
Which is Welsh for bridge, for a start.
Exactly, it is. Yeah.
Achieve. Oh, to achieve is to do. See, I'm not having that either.
Yeah,
that's not a proper synonym.
It's a lot. I'm not. Look, don't blame me. Blame synonyms.com. Fuck those guys.
Somebody says direct. Is that point? To direct.
Oh,
point.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'll accept that one. So, yeah, because I wrote it like Antoine Fisher. I got myself all confused. We're doing one more, and then this fucking absolute shambles is coming to an end.
Do you want the really hard one or really quite easy one?
You decide.
Rank angle.
That's it.
Yep.
Rank angle. Is it rank as into order, or is it rank as in horrible?
No, it's rank as into order, certainly.
Rank angle.
This is very easy. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about here, but we've talked about him a lot today. I'll put it that way.
I don't know. My brain's gone now. Just tell me what it is.
It's Dan Fish, because Dan is a rank of belt in karate, and to angle is to alter to fish.
Rank Dan. Oh, as in a belt.
Yeah, the black belt, but yeah.
I'd have never fucking got Dan.
Honestly, Synonyms.com can get to shit as far as I'm concerned.
They make this shit up, man.
Honestly. Wait, I had Billy Vunipola and Maro Itoje, right?
Yeah.
And absolute shambles. Billy Vunipola was check border aspect patella beamer hem.
That sounds like you're talking in back slang.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Bill is check. Border is lay apparently.
Yeah,
Lee.
as in a ley line. Yeah.
Yeah. View aspect. Knee.
View nipple.
Patella. Pole. Beam. And then R became a hem for some reason. And Maro Itoje was grandmother paddle ingest foot digit chump. So
Grandma
grandma
paddle.
Grandma row paddle. It.
All right. Yes.
It eat ingest. Ingest foot. Oh yeah, foot digit was the second one. So toe.
Yeah.
Toe J, and then J again. It seems to think that J is some sort of again because we had Jason Robinson. We had chump child, and we've got foot digit chump. Yeah, so I don't know. Is J some sort of like derogatory term that we're just missing out? Like some sort of American
grandmother paddle eat foot digit chump.
Grandmother paddle ingest foot digit chump. Foot digit toe. Obviously.
Yeah, I get that bit. That's about the only bit I get. Oh, paddle chump. I get for row.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have been there all fucking night.
Chump.
That shit.
Fucking no idea. Fucking J, man. I don't know what.
Although we have got an episode title now, so that's good.
Yeah, brilliant. That's gonna. I mean, the SEO on that's gonna be fucking off the chain.
Oh god, yeah. Because obviously there's people looking for us all the time. We get lots of SEO hits.
Absolutely.
For our stuff.
I mean, basically, this is just me going to all those people who are like, I turn in from fucking Only Connect.
I was going to say, where were the Only Connect people in the comments?
Exactly. Where are the fucking Only Connect people? Yeah, you should be all over this.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I'm amazed I got at least half. I think I got 2.5 of them there.
I thought you did very well. You did much better than I did. Oh, I did have the other one, which was Brad Bulwarks, which would have been Brad Shields.
Oh, yeah.
But that was quite shit. But yeah, that was
quite shit. Seems like a perfect way to end that little section there.
I mean, I did say that this was my worst game yet, and I think we can agree I was right.
So we could actually ask people to. This is getting some traction in the comments. Maybe if we could send some in. We've lost at least 20% of our people on the live stream during that section. I'd just like to ask.
Absolutely,
but
and rightly so, as far as
rightly so. Yeah, vote with your feet. It's the only way to learn. So I think what we learned from this is everyone wants to play your caps right back. That's what we learned from this.
I'll bring that back in the new year. It's fine. I mean, I've also been threatening Theo Brophy-Cledo for ages.
That's what I thought that was going to. I thought that's what. So you've even got a thing for that, haven't you? I thought that's what this was going to be.
We won't play your caps right back.
Yes, we do.
But yeah, no, it's not. Message received is all I'm going to say. I'm going to.
Right.
I'm going to stop trying to stretch you all intellectually, and we'll go back to higher or lower.
That's the end of the weekend.
It is.
So therefore, we will welcome back our non-patron listeners on the podcast. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
And we do shit good, because that is what we do at this time of the day. Josh, kick me off with a shit.
NFTs and rugby fucking union.
Here we go. We mentioned this before. So
yeah, we spoke.
Now,
we didn't.
We've talked about this before, and that I don't understand NFTs.
No, well, it's because they're a pyramid scheme, and when you look at it and you think, oh, well, it just looks like a pyramid scheme. I mustn't understand this. No, that's it.
So can I try and tell you how I understand it?
Yeah.
You take something like, I don't know, that game you've just done.
Yeah.
And you assign a big long digital code to it.
Yes.
Which is unique.
Yeah.
And then you could sell that to someone as a unique artifact from the internet.
Yes.
Is that right? Is that what an NFT is?
You never actually own the thing. You just own a receipt saying that you own the thing.
So if then somebody Anyway, go on. I won't steal what you're going to say. Go on. I don't know what you're going to say, but I'm a feeling I might just start be walking all over if I start trying to explain it. But go on.
Well, I think Cammy Black of the Scottish Rugby Podcast has a good way of sort of describing NFTs, which is basically you pay for a pint of beer, but anybody can drink it, and you're not allowed to complain, and you don't even own the glass, but you do get a bit of paper that says it's your pint, and that's basically NFTs as far as I can tell. So yeah, we didn't talk about the other week World Rugby planning to branch out into NFTs as they announced a couple of weeks ago, because honestly, I think we have enough things to be angry about without getting fucked off by the global governing body of our sport getting into the world of digital Ponzi schemes. But now I feel like we have to, because Charles Piatow has beaten them to the punch. Charles Piatow has somehow managed to get into the rugby NFT game ahead of the people who run the sport and created a thing called Ruggers NFT, which is a series of 25 unique works of art celebrating 25 international rugby players who've basically I'll tell you what, I'll show you because I've stolen some of them. There's one. There's Adam Jones.
Okay.
There's Peter Stringer for some reason.
Fucking hell. Yeah.
There's Carl Sinclair.
That's better.
That's better, isn't it? And again, for some reason, there's Dean Richards.
Dean Richards' head was much bigger than that. I'll say that much.
It was. I don't know. None of it really makes sense. Anyway, so they've got
so
some digital
a sort of just about
look,
adequate sketching as you might see in a children's sketchbook.
Yes, in a sort of what that you can buy for the bargain price of between $200 and $500 a piece.
And that's just for the receipt.
And that's for the street, because as you can see, Josh, I haven't paid.
Josh.
I haven't paid. I've stolen these,
and there they are.
Josh,
you've just screen grabbed and shown me all these things.
Lee, I didn't even have to screen grab them. I just right-clicked and saved. It's not even that advanced. And what really offends me is not just that these things exist, and not just that they're terrible and really poor works of art, and it's that they're blatantly trying to be fucking digital rugby stickers. Look at them, like. That's like they've even got like a shit pretend fucking shiny texture to try and make them seem more like stickers. But you know what is I've got fucking rugby stickers.
Peter Stringer looks like a really shit Lex Luthor.
But like, don't try to tell me that pretend thing on the internet has more value than these glorious things here.
Like the top 14 stickers that you're holding
up. The top 14 stickers, what I am holding up.
If you think about like the 1958 Mickey Mantle baseball card, which I don't know much about baseball cards, there'll be some that are worth a fortune, right?
Yes, the Tom Brady fucking rookie card is famously extremely fucking valuable because nobody expected him to be any good, so none of them were made. But that is, you actually get something out of this. You know, I can pay my fucking 25, 30 quid and get a massive fucking box of top 14s of 60 bloody packs of top 14 stickers, and I've got them. It's like I say, fuck, I love Charles Piatow, right? But don't piss on my head and tell me it's raining, Charles. Don't tell me a rubbish digital drawing of a professional rugby player in the style of a sticker that is not a sticker, that doesn't even have a sticky back, doesn't have any back. The back doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Don't try to tell me that has value.
Because what could you do with it? If you've got this receipt now, what you could stop people from doing what you've just done now? Could you say I own it? Or what?
I mean,
but you don't own it. You own
theoretically, yeah. Theoretically, yes. So you could say I own that. You don't have the right to reproduce that, but I'm not publishing it. I'm just flashing it up on the screen on a fucking live stream or video podcast.
Is it that simply this is the beginning of? Well, I suppose if you look at a risk assessment on investment thing here, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of risk because what you're effectively waiting for, it sounds like, is that you're waiting for copyright legislation or something to catch up with this, because I don't imagine that it's in step with it yet. So you'd be basically speculating on the assumption that at some point something will be ruled on that this, I don't know what the answer is, I'm not a lawyer. Somebody who's listening might be, But that's kind of what it is it? It must be. It must
So,
be a kind of.
so
All right,
I
it's
think,
worth me spending 300 quid on this now because at some point copyright law will catch up. This is what everybody's doing, and then it will be worth fucking 10 times as much as that at some point.
well, I think it's like any other sort of, it's like buying baseball cards and keeping them, or comic books or whatever, and keeping them in mint condition in the hope that someone's going to buy them one day. Except the thing that you own does not fucking exist, and like, you're literally paying for a receipt, and there's no guarantee that the thing that the file isn't stored on the receipt. So, like, you don't get, like, it's stored on a server somewhere that can just fucking disappear at any time, and there's no guarantee that it won't. So you're buying a digital receipt, and it's been 16 days, right? Charles Pietau's Ruggers NFT has been going, and they sold 21 of their 24 items at least once.
And you've got at least 12 of them.
I've got at least 12. I mean, I bought all of the Semi Miranda ones, so obviously, Semi's actually the most expensive guy on there, as he should be. At
Well, you own them without owning them because you've already got them.
You do not own them at all because I'm looking at Semi right now.
This could become a circular discussion, so we probably need to stop it. But
we probably absolutely do. But it just, I don't blame anyone, particularly in rugby union, where it's a very short career. I don't blame people trying to make money out of themselves in any way that they can, in a way. And fair play to Charles. I find it very funny that Charles Pietau has somehow beaten World Rugby to the punch on this. Yeah. But I just find it all very depressing that this is where we're at. It's like,
generally as a society,
shit. Paying 500 quid for a shit digital, that we're at the pay 500 quid for a shit digital drawing phase of rugby players trying to give themselves something to actually fucking live on for the rest of their careers. If
somebody gave you a piece of paper that sketched in that way, go, that's terrible. That's not really worth anything. So, mind you, they said that about Ellis Lowry, didn't they? And who had the last laugh there? Not him. He didn't laugh at anything. But
we might be fucking, we might look like total pricks in 10 years' time. I doubt it, though.
I don't think anybody could accuse of having a lack of vision, Josh.
Surely not. We came up with a fucking rugby all-star game. Don't tell me that we haven't got.
There's a number of things that you just created that game before. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could, we dreamed this up in our sleep.
I did a song at the beginning. People.
I might basically create an MP3 file of that song I did at the beginning. Create an NFT off it. Don't know how to do any of these things, but I'm going to do that, and I'm going to sell it for 600 quid to someone.
Yeah. Do it. Mint it as an NFT. I don't know how you do that. Vodafone apparently minted the first ever text as an NFT today. And when
what
people
do you mean
say stuff
minted
like,
it?
Exactly. Well, because to create the thing, the unique,
you've got to put like a
you've basically got
on it or something.
Well, yeah, you've basically got to expend enough computing energy to burn down a couple of rainforests. To that's an exaggeration, obviously, but yeah. You've got to use some computing power to generate the blockchain codey thing to fucking make it unique and make it non-fucking fungible. Even though I've clearly funged it.
My electricity has doubled in price. And are you trying to tell me that might be because of some people creating this bollocks?
I think it absolutely is. 100%.
We need to move on.
We need to move on, yeah, or we'll still be angry in January at this rate. Anyway, I say no.
Down with this sort of thing.
Down with this sort of thing. Emphatically, yes.
Sebastian Vilgrand gets in touch. He says, "Shit is the Heineken COVID Cup." Yes, I think Josh kind of kicked the arse out of that in the patron bit in the middle there. Martin Richard Charlesworth gets in touch and says that shit is the pea soup in Glasgow, making one of the few games of the weekend near unwatchable. BT Sport should have switched to a thermal view so we could watch the game as if we were the alien from Predator.
I would really enjoy that. Let's do that.
That would have been a fun. Yeah, why isn't that a red button option?
Fuck yeah.
Including the soundtrack and everything.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Anytime. All that stuff. Fucking melted. What else we got? Matt Herbert says, shit is getting Omicron for Christmas. Oh, sorry about that, Matt. And then Saints kicking me while I'm down by shitting themselves out of the European Cup in the first 2 games. Yeah. Oh, we didn't talk about Northampton, did we?
Oh, yeah, Northampton. That was probably a good game, that. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, Northampton Ulster. Yeah. Northampton, once again, somehow getting close to winning a game when they shit the bed for the first 20 minutes, which seems to be what they do now. So,
yeah, they had absolutely no business. Like, Alex Mitchell scored one of the all-time great stupid tries where he just kept crabbing until until he got to the man who had a broken shoulder who couldn't tackle him, and then he just fell over the try line.
Yeah. So yeah, fair dues, decent game, that. Yeah. Deeps filled mince pies gets in touch. He said, "Shit is Erda Pieta. The guy would kick for territory in a game of touch rugby on the beach." Yes, fair enough.
I mean, we spoke about him. I still can't understand how he kicked that out at the end. It makes no sense at all. Really silly.
Isn't he about 3,000 years old now?
Oh yeah, him and Cockott are both like 35, 36 or something. They basically will never be able to retire.
Pete Elder says, "Shit good is the joke I DM'd earlier." Yeah, he DM'd me a joke, Pete, and it was awful. I'm not even going to repeat it. It was so fucking terrible. So, Miles Burley gets in touch. He said, "Shit is the Exeter front row, constantly getting their arses handed to them this season, and maybe Francis was the one thing holding it all together." Yes, mentioned a bit before,
Maybe
Miles,
you're
but
on,
yes, perhaps. But that's still no excuse for a mostly all international or very, very recently international front row not doing so well.
No, it's not really. It's all things are slightly rotten in the state of Exeter.
I mean, yeah, I'll say nothing.
Yeah.
Jay Mask gets in touch. He says, "Shit is Munster versus Castres." Yes, we covered that. Terrible, terrible game. But at least he travelled. As the English guy said in the 70s that in Dublin, "We might not be very good, but at least we turn up."
Indeed.
You got any more shit?
No, I think I've more than thinged my shit.
You're absolutely. It's after that game. You're absolutely knackered after trying to navigate your way through that game.
Yeah, and then 5 minutes on an FT, and I'm just a fucking
like a puppy,
slowly deflated balloon.
What do we get here that's good? Have you got any good?
Yes. Genuinely, as much as I kind of didn't, I gotta just give credit to Jim Botham again. Like,
2 of the best games I've seen him play these past 2 weeks. Yeah. Something which I'd never thought. It does feel like a bit of a coming of age or an arrival type performance, which sounds mad, given he's already played international rugby. But everyone thought that was like a bit of a daft idea. But looking at some of the flashes that have come through, yes, some of the flashes the past couple of weeks, and obviously there is always an element of, I remember I used to play badminton a bit, and we played against Oxford Uni at university once, and I wasn't a very good player, and I played fucking brilliantly that game, and they had like a couple of ex-youth internationals, and we got beaten, but I played the best I've ever fucking played in my life. If you ask me to play like that again, no chance. So it's obviously he's a lot more talented at his chosen sport than I was, but there is something about that kind of blood and thunder. I've got to give it everything here, and this is what it looks like. And is that maintainable, I guess?
Yes, and if it is, then, good for him. He's going to have a tidy career ahead of him in the international arena, I think, and for Cardiff.
Yeah, it was, but yeah, solid stuff. Really good stuff. What else we got that's good? Rian Lowe gets in touch on the comments here, and he says, "Good is Patricia Garcia catching a box kick while sliding on her back under the oncoming defense." Yeah, that was a fucking great clip.
I fucking love that.
Gotta love that. The timing of it, man.
Yeah. Also loving Jazz Joyce being 3 minutes back into her fucking 15s career with Bristol and just going, "I'm just going to run the length of the field now, lads. See ya."
All ladies, whichever way. Doesn't matter who it is. I'm still going to run the length of the field. Yeah.
Indeed.
Hunter Sewell says, "As good as my first time seeing Jason Isbell in concert." I'm assuming you're in America, aren't you, Hunter? Of course you are.
Otherwise, you've missed a very important announcement, and you'll be inconsolable.
He says, "However, shit is my car being towed while watching." And having to drunkenly navigate worse than average US public transit to get home, only to find that my county opted out of public transport, leaving me to walk the last 2 miles.
Only in America would you have my county opted out of public transport.
What I do like though, Hunter, and you might want to maybe tweet this to Jason Isbell himself, is that your entire post-show experience sounds like one of his songs.
It's Jason Isbell song, yeah.
It genuinely sounds like Last of My Kind. No, Last of My Kind. Yeah, Last of My Kind. Yeah.
Yeah, it has a sort of like weary, homespun kind of southern charm to it that I think, yeah, he could write a song about you.
Andrew Archer gets in touch and he says, good is the Glasgow fans shouting down the Exeter attempts at the Tomahawk chop. Yes, and then even better is Exeter fans complaining about it, about being shouted down, only to be called out more. Imagine having your views shouted down. Imagine what that must feel like, Josh. Yeah. Having your views shouted down. Maybe imagine having your views shouted down for an entire fucking century.
Yeah.
And then imagine how that might feel.
And not just your views, but your very right to exist. Not just shouted down with muskets and bayonets.
I'll tell you what, though, Glasgow don't fuck about with this stuff, do they? Because I was reminded this week of those two C-clads the Home Office tried to boot out of the country. And a load of Glasgow, just the neighbours, just surrounded the transport, so you're not fucking taking them anywhere until they had to let them out. Glasgow don't fuck about with this stuff, do they?
Big fan. Big fan.
And Mary Williams, on a similar vein, says Gladwegians doing Gladwegian things by shutting down all the attempts at doing the Tomahawk chop. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Reese, friend of the podcast, hello, Adam. Seriously considering going to watch Bryan Adams with Adam next year in Cardiff.
I mean,
which is the most Adam night out.
I was going to say that is the perfect Adam. If you went directly from a Cardiff game to the Bryan Adams concert, that would be the perfect Adam night out.
Anyway, he says, good is Harlequins being far less intolerable now Mike Brown doesn't play for them. It's funny
it's
that,
true.
Isn't it?
They are a lot more likeable now.
Do you think Dan Fish still thought that he was playing for them and they thought that's who Tyrone Green was? And that's why he's rammed his shoulder straight to his head.
This cunt. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, Mike Brown. Oh, fuck, sorry. Jesus. I thought you were somebody else.
Not a panel in the land has convicted him of that. So,
he wouldn't
Unfortunately,
what is your defense, Mr. Fish? I thought he was Mike Brown.
I had the earnest belief that he was Mike Brown.
Like those American coppers, I reasonably and genuinely was in fear that he was Mike Brown. You're acquitted. Go back on duty.
That's another alternative title right there.
Yes.
A reasonable, genuine fear of Mike Brown. Also good. Young Theo Cabango. Woof. Fast.
Yeah, not much else to it. Don't get any hopes up, but yeah.
But genuinely, it's just fun watching somebody that fast. My Matt Prothero, Cabango, Louis Rees-Zammit dream back three of never tackling and always running very fast is.
Tell you what, that can win. It's a good footballer, though.
Yeah,
genuinely good footballer. Genuinely,
in a sort of like, how come you didn't start? Like, how did that lad have to take someone's head off for you to get a go? You know?
Yeah, really busy and you know, loads of lovely little touches.
Yeah,
called Win It, which is unfortunate for him, and I'm sure he's not had a load of shit for that for his whole fucking life. Not. But yeah. Ian McGilp says good is Glasgow signings this year. We've had some duds in recent seasons who failed to stay fit in or show form, and in recent games against Exeter in particular, Tui Pelotu, Mackay and Dempsey have been outstanding. Yeah, he was, and Darge as well was very good, wasn't he, this week?
That's real good.
Harley Worthy gets in touch. He says, good is the wife and I are moving into our first home this weekend. Congratulations. You already got married, which is one big move, and now you're getting a house together, which is lovely not stuff. Easily done these days for people of a certain age, I understand. So
he
said shit though, he's not been able to watch any rugby because BT won't be set up until tomorrow. Surely you've got unlimited data these days. Who hasn't got unlimited data these days? Come on, Andy, sort yourself out.
Let's be real. Who has used a lot of their data in the last 2 years? You must have a lot there.
Yeah, indeed. I've got unlimited with 3 and also Roman, which they completely shit all over now, haven't they?
Yeah, well, the only
not that I'm going anywhere, obviously.
The only reason that I was with 3 was that they would let me use my phone as at home in America, and now they're going to fucking get rid of that, so they can get to fuck.
Speaking of travelling, obviously I'm supposed to go to the Sevens in Seville, flying out 28th of January. That ain't fucking happening, is it?
I mean, you've got a month.
Yeah, I've got a month just to get to right up to 200,000 cases a day, and everyone lock it. The France has already locked us out. There's
I
no way
know.
Spain ain't going to do it.
Yeah. it's
Especially in
not
the
like-
off season. At least they might go. You still go to the Canary Islands, but everyone else is fucking staying home.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're not going to that, are you? That's a pity.
No, I'm not. You know what? To be honest, I can live with not going, but I've done that thing where I've booked my flights with Ryanair. I've done an
Oh, they're gonna
Airbnb,
be-
not an
they're gonna be
Airbnb. I've done a
pricks with it.
booking.com. And then even worse than that, I've paid for tickets directly through fucking Spanish rail. So I'm trying to negotiate moving
Spanish
those
rail
fuckers
refund system.
in Spanish. You know what I mean? It's
No.
not going to be good. So we'll
No.
see. My Spanish is, rusty.
I haven't said this on the podcast before, but I got like randomly, you're aware of this, but I got randomly nominated for a Catalan writing award run by the Catalan Tourism Authority for something I wrote about a man who went up a mountain and played a guitar last year. And the writer was like, "Oh, you've been nominated for this thing. You just got to fill out this form, and you could win a prize. And it's like $2,000 or something." And I was like, "Fuck, yeah, all right, whatever." And
You
so I
had
went
me
on
at $2,000.
you
Let's
had me at
go.
$2,000. Yeah. And I looked and it was like, it wasn't a big field, but like genuinely, I spent an hour and a half trying to navigate the Catalan Tourist Board's Catalan website to download a form that then required a Catalan state ID to sign into to download it. And I was, in the end, I just emailed him. I was like, "I'm really sorry, mate. I'm not going to enter this thing because as much as I would like to win it, I genuinely I don't even know where to start to think about. Like, I've got a tiny bit of Spanish. I've got absolutely no fucking Catalan whatsoever. And because it's Catalan, obviously, none of it was in English or Spanish. So, yeah, it was, yeah. And so I just gave up. And therein lies why you should raise your children to be multilingual, I think.
We went to Bilbao a few years ago, and we stayed in a youth. I thought the kids were about 14 and 12, and we stayed in a youth hostel in Bilbao for a couple of nights. And it was like, it'll be nice, show the kids what it's like, so that when they're old enough, they'll know what it's like. And we went there, and I thought I'll be fine. I've done it years ago, but I'll be fine. Well, it's like, this is fucking terrible. It smells like boys, and I'm having to share a bathroom. And yeah, I'm fucking way too old for this shit. We stayed for one night. We were meant to be there for another 2, and I said, right, we're going to go and get a nice hotel, which we did. And but I said, right, I want some money back because they were booked up to fuck. And he said, no, this is me and me pidgin Spanish round this guy on reception. No, we don't refund. I said, look, you're very full. It's está mucho ocupado, etc. Be reasonable.
Yeah.
And in the end, I literally said, right, I just went, right, quiero hablar a el jefe. I want to speak to the boss. I literally became that guy. At which point he kind of just looked at me with an evil look, picked the phone up, nattered away in Spanish, they gave me some money back. So yeah, so maybe just shout that if you're next in Spain.
Absolutely.
Maybe with a better accent than mine.
Maybe if I typed Quiero hablar jefe into the little fucking thing that was asking me for a Catalan fucking
Quiero hablar
card. Yeah.
El jefe. Which I think is probably wrong. I can't remember. I'll see.
Yeah,
I can't remember. Anyway,
yeah.
He got the message across, and he was a fucking white man with dreadlocks anyway, of which, by the way, there are far too many in Bilbao. Let me tell you this.
There's far too many in the world. There's far too many in the world.
You had me at far too many, yeah. Where was he up to then?
I can't remember.
Sorry, carry on. Finish that point and we'll move on.
I know. I was talking about my shitty. I think I totally took us off on a weird tangent about. But you were talking about not going to the sevens. So
unfortunately, you won't be winning $2,000.
So yeah, so I'm not winning $2,000, and I'm fine with it but that's how much I couldn't be bothered to learn how to speak basic conversational Catalan, even with an offer of cash prize at the end of it. I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
I've seen a bit of Catalan. Obviously, a lot of it's just replacing D's with T's in Spanish. They won't like me saying that, but it is. So instead of like general T is generalidad, it's generalitat and things like that. But a lot of it is very different. But yeah,
quite.
Anyway, so where was now? Yeah. So Stu Clark says, "Good is Josh Mackay's handoff on Slade, sending him straight to the shadow realm for trying to go
really
low."
fucking funny. Oh, really fucking funny.
And it did look like you could be pushed into the shadow realm because of that big white glow
Yeah,
that was
absolutely.
constantly
There was a very real chance that he would have entirely disappeared if he'd gone down further.
straight into a portal to another, yes, into the upside down. Dave Joseph here gets in touch. Oh, Dave, he says, good is being on the beach in December in Lanzarote, fair dues, with a lad in a rather fetching Toulouse shirt.
I mean, is he talking about me?
Have you had a long weekend and not told me?
Yeah.
He says, however, shit is my French only extends to saying rugby players' names in an overly French mock Eddie Butler accent.
I was going to say the Eddie Butler approach.
Has to speak to his boss in Spanish, see if that works.
Yeah.
Francis Wood-Ifield says, good is Dan Fish, Dan Fish, Dan Fish, Dan Fish. I mean, it was good to see it.
It was funny. Let's not pretend.
It was a lovely bit of entertainment, but he's not good. And he never has been.
He's still Dan Fish.
Yes. But fair play to him. Because, I mean, this other thing.
Indeed.
It's like, I'm not being funny. I mean, I wasn't the fittest when I played, but give me 2 years off, I would have been fucked. It's the fact they can actually turn out and do a game of rugby is amazing.
I mean, look what happened to Jason Tuvey in like 3 months of not playing professional rugby.
Finally, Hamish Allen says, good is after 2 weeks of nervous waiting, endless paperwork and testing, we've made it to New York as planned for Christmas. Huzzah.
Nice. Oh,
however, he says, shit. Is in the 24 hours since we landed, Brooklyn Nets versus the Wizards is cancelled. The Radio City Christmas show is cancelled. And the rate things are closing. We'll be looking for US gas station cuisine options for Christmas lunch. Also, he says, since I introduced my 14-year-old lad to No Sleep Till Brooklyn, he's been playing Beastie Boys on a loop. And his iPhone might yet end up in the Hudson. Oh, best laid plans, eh, Hamish?
Indeed. I still think New York Christmas is one of those weird, magical, you're in a film things. So enjoy it. Go to They can't fucking close Central Park. Just go there.
They can't. Go to Harlem.
Yeah. Maybe.
Or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. That's got to be it, Annie.
Surely that's it.
Slightly shorter this week, which is a ridiculous thing to say as we're teaching over 2 hours, but it is slightly shorter than we have done the past couple of weeks. Listen, this is our last one before Christmas. Are we doing next week? We don't know, do we? We'll have to talk about it offline.
Yeah, we'll make it. But, it's definitely the last one before Christmas.
It's definitely the last one before Christmas. We don't know if we're going to be in between, but we'll let you know. So, obviously, thank you, all of you, for your incredible support, your ears, your time, your submissions, for still remarkably listening to this after 6 years.
Indeed.
Have an absolutely glorious Christmas, all of you, as best we can with all this waves arms around, all this that's going on.
Yeah.
But, we'll take what we can. We'll enjoy what we can.
Yeah. Whatever Christmas you have, make it a good one. Make it a fun one.
Yeah. And,
look after each other.
And may the worst of your tomorrows be the best of your yesterdays, everybody.
Indeed.
Take care. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Merry Christmas to you, Josh, as well, by the way.
Merry Christmas to you, Lee.
Yeah. Thank you very much indeed. Speak to you all soon. Goodbye.
Likewise. Take care.